Hello and welcome everyone to day 3 of Fiesta Bowl week. I'm Alex Dusky here with Grayson Singleton and Jace Andrews. We are still in Phoenix reporting live. We're having a great time here. In case you missed it on the Ocali social medias earlier today, we went out to the Phoenix Zoo to see Chudy, the greater one-horned rhino, make his choice between Oklahoma State or Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl for tomorrow. Grayson, kind of tell us what we saw there.
Well, first of all, it's a ginormous animal, number one. I've actually never seen a rhino in person.
And we were very close, mind you.
Very, very close. Absolutely beautiful animal, too. But Chudy, unfortunately, did kind of go against us, picked Notre Dame ahead of Oklahoma State. Kind of teased us there for a minute, like he was going to go pick Oklahoma State, but in the end, he did end up picking the Irish.
So in my opinion, we'll put the clip up, but you can see him kind of touch the Oklahoma State box, and he respected the box to not harm it, and then completely demolished the Notre Dame box. Jace, what do you think about that?
Well, I think hopefully that's a sign of what's to come in the game of Oklahoma State being tried and true left there while they're destroying the Irish. So hopefully Chudy knows something we don't.
And it was ironic, they put blood orange essence in the boxes to kind of attract Chudy. So, maybe that's a hint of what's to come for tomorrow. Yesterday, after the Cowboys football practice at Saguaro High School, they participated in the tradition of doing a community outreach event that happens in several bowl games across the country. Grayson, kind of tell us what the team did yesterday.
So yesterday, the team went back to the high school, and what they did was they just packed a bunch of backpacks filled with school supplies to get out to the kids in the area. It was a fantastic looking event. It looked like the players and coaches were having a ton of fun doing it. And it's just good to see that community outreach events like this are still back, and we're able to still do those and give back to the community even in the midst of the pandemic.
You kind of mentioned that how, in previous years, pre-pandemic years, the teams would, maybe go to hospitals and visit some sick kids or do more hands-on activities. But because of the pandemic and trying to keep everyone safe, they had to do this kind of, not really a virtual event, but, not really in the community as well. Jace, what did they do to make the best of the situation?
Well, I think the best thing about it was they made it a competition. So what they did is they split up into 2 teams, and they decided who could get more backpacks filled in the allotment amount of time. The best thing was the mascot for the Fiesta Bowl was there cheering them on, helping them, even right there going and trying to get more stuff in the bags. And I think you could see in the faces of the players, they were just happy to be here and happy to give back, because this is something that they didn't get to do last year at the Cheez-It Bowl. I mean, there was no time. They were at the hotel for one day, got to play the game, and had to leave. I mean, I think that's the best part about kind of being back in a world where we can go out and give back to the community when safely.
And that's what we've been talking about all this week. We hope you've enjoyed seeing all of our content from both us and the team, being really able to experience a bowl game for probably most of the team's, first time that they can, remember. This morning, it was the final media day before the game. We talked to both head coaches, Mike Gundy of the Cowboys, obviously, and Marcus Freeman of Notre Dame. And while we said earlier in the week that defensive line coach Joe Bob Clemens spoke to the media in the place of the defensive coordinator position, Mike Gundy announced that there will be 3 coaches calling different plays in different situations. Grayson, just getting in the head of the players, how do you think that's going to affect them?
Well, it's good that they didn't do this in the regular season and have to adjust to this on the fly within a week. So they've had 4 weeks of preparation to get ready for this. We've known for a little bit that Jim Knowles was not going to be the defensive play caller in the game tomorrow. So from a player's perspective, you really have to be attentive to detail. You have to be trained to know, okay, this is the down, this is the situation, this is the time in the game, to really have to look to different signal callers. I tell you, as a former athlete that played both football and basketball, and sports where you have to look to your coach for direction, it's very difficult when you have to look to multiple guys. So it'll be key to see how these players adjust and how they fare early on in the game.
Now, Jace, who are these 3 coaches, and what benefits do you think each different coach brings?
So you already mentioned the defensive line coach, Joe Bob Clements, but the other one will be cornerbacks coach Tim Duffy, along with safeties coach Dan Hammerschmidt. And now those 3 will kind of do exactly what I think the rules is. So if it's 3rd and 5, they're passing down, you're probably going to look at the safeties and the cornerbacks coach. If it's maybe a shorter, like 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, you're closer to that first down or maybe the line of scrimmage, you're going to get that defensive line coordinator. Now, you mentioned kind of looking different places. I'm interested to see how that works, because I think they may not be on the field. They may put all 3 of them up at the top.
And that's kind of what Coach Gundy said earlier this week, that, not necessarily himself will be up in the box, but the people in the box might be on the field back in the box.
Exactly. We don't know what's going to happen, because there's never really been a scenario. I can't think the last time I've heard a coach saying 3 people are going to call at one side of the ball. So I'm interested to see how that happens, along with just what dynamic it's going to bring to the team, because obviously it's going to be different. You're not going to have Jim Knowles running the ship. And I know, Coach Gundy talked about it a lot this year. He does not talk to Knowles when he called. When Knowles called the game, he let him do, and that's all. So I think it's going to be different. But in the same time, the scheme was a group effort, so I expect to see the same Cowboy defense we've seen all year.
Now, Grayson, I kind of want to go back to what you were talking about with the athletes.
Yeah.
So Coach Gundy said in this morning's conference as well that players win games, coaches just kind of draw the blueprints and the players know what to do. Do you think that we'll really see that with this experienced defense who's had a phenomenal record-breaking season?
Yeah, so like Jace was saying, schematically this is going to look very similar. It's just going to be, in terms of situational football, is going to be the major difference. Now, I like what you brought up about coaches in the box now coming down to the field, and that's just another dimension of novelty that's going to be instructed into this game, this one game. So it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to be taxing on the players all throughout this week, all throughout these months of preparation, and into tomorrow. Expect to see a little bit of hiccups. Expect to see breaks in communication just because of all the moving parts. Jim Knowles' departure doesn't just affect defensive play calling. It affects how the coaches will coach throughout the entire game.
So like we've mentioned throughout this week, this is Notre Dame's head coach Marcus Freeman's first game as head coach. Their previous coach, Brian Kelly, moved on to LSU, and Marcus Freeman has been in the program. He was their defensive coordinator, so he's stepping up. But at the end of the press conference, here's what he had to say about taking on the Cowboys tomorrow.
My challenge to our group is we have to match the intensity and the physicality this group plays with. And that's something I've always prided myself on as defensive coordinators. That we're going to be tough, we're going to be physical, and we're going to play hard. Then you turn on the film and you watch this offense and their defense especially play extremely hard, extremely physical, and it's a challenge.
Now, Jace, we've seen Marcus Freeman a couple times this week. What are your overall thoughts on him as a coach and how he's kind of presenting himself to the media?
So from what I've seen, he is a very stable-minded guy. He knows what his job is, and he's going to go and do exactly just that. And in the press conference, he said that his game duties are probably not going to change much. He'll still be calling the defensive plays, and the offense will still be run by their offensive coordinator. Now, with that is going to be a little bit of difference because he's going to have to go in there and game manage. He's going to be the one to pick the plays. Okay, 4th down, we're at a 4th and 1, and we're close. We're not close enough for a field goal, but we're obviously not going to punt it. So what's the situation? That's going to be his job. And I think one of the biggest things that I think the players are going to wrap around is his likability is comparable to one of our own Mike Boynton. I think his personality, it just shows that he lives and breathes football and loves these kids. And he mentioned it. He said, this game is not about the coaches. It's not about what happened to me. It's not about what happened the past month. This is about the seniors and everybody going out and playing their last game here with Notre Dame football of the year. And I think that just shows what type of guy he is.
So this morning we did get the final injury report from both teams. We obviously know that Notre Dame had a couple of people opting out already. Grayson, kind of tell us what's happening with the Notre Dame's team.
So Notre Dame has 2 major absences. The first is safety Kyle Hamilton, who is pretty much the best safety in college football. He's a projected top 5 pick in this spring's NFL draft. He has opted out due to getting ready for the draft. As for their offense, they are without running back and leading rusher Kyron Williams. He will be missing the game as he too has opted out for the NFL draft. And Coach Marcus Freeman has said that they will replace him with a running back by committee led by second leading rusher Chris Tyree.
And we mentioned yesterday after Oklahoma State's practice that Jaylen Warren is 100% healthy. And Coach Gundy kind of said today that this is the first time he's been healthy, honestly, since the TCU game. Jace, what else did we hear from Gundy regarding injuries?
So one of the key names that he brought up was Blaine Green. He will not be playing in this game, and I think that's a big thing. He is a freshman, but what Gundy said is that we're not going to risk injury and just let him get ready for spring ball and go from there. But really the best thing is that's all he mentioned. He said there may be a few, couple COVID cases, but that's true with every team right now. So I don't think we'll see much difference. But going back to Jaylen, he looked full, just like Gundy said, he looked full for the first time since that TCU game. But the one thing I will point out is we did beat OU without him and without our running back, our guy, Jaylen. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how he's used because, like he said, this will be the first time we'll have him in almost a month.
So there's a lot of excitement going into this game, a lot of preparation from both us and the team. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Alex, joined by Grayson and Jace. We will be reporting from State Farm Stadium tomorrow. Kickoff is at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, so noon Central and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Be sure you're checking out Okali's social media throughout the morning as we will be posting there. Checking out my Twitter as Jace and I will be live tweeting from the press box. Grayson will be down on the field taking some photos and video. So thank you so much for tuning in. Go Pokes. We'll see you tomorrow.